What's up guys, Wolf here. Welcome to another Division 2 build video. In today's video, I'm going to showcase my best Oxidizer skill build. The Oxidizer is a very powerful skill that does a lot of damage to skilled proxies and armor. You can melt through NPCs like absolutely nothing. And normally when you use, like a pyro chem launcher, you cannot really set the electronic enemies on fire. Therefore, status effect builds aren't the strongest in certain missions. With this, you can just absolutely spread the perfume or the cloud everywhere. You can aim it and watch the NPCs run into it and just get obliterated very, very quickly. This build works great for any kind of close quarters missions or anywhere where the NPCs are going to be clumped together. You can use this in a group or in a team, and the utility is amazing. Now, I want to talk about a few things before we go through the description, and then you guys can enjoy some gameplay. Now, let's talk about the skill itself, because I really want to make sure you guys understand how this works. Now, I have spoken about this skill many times in the past, and I have discussed everything that I'm going to talk about today before in previous videos and on previous live streams. So let's take a look at the skill itself before we go through the build. So the chem launcher has got many variations. Now, when we look at healing, that's going to be repair skills, things like that. We're not going to be talking about the healing element. We're going to be talking about this right here, the Oxidizer. So if you look at Riot Foam and the Fire Starter, these are status effects, fire and foam. So if you increase your status effects, you will increase the duration, damage, things like that, and the effectiveness of these status effect skills. But the Oxidizer is not a status effect. It shoots out a purple mist. Now, it releases a cloud of corrosive gas that damages enemy armor, skill proxies, and causes damage over time. This scales really well with armor damage. But I'm not going to be delving too far into damage to targets out of cover. That's why I haven't used the knee pads, is because that works, but that is very situational. And NPCs are going to be jumping around out of cover. So I don't think damage to targets out of cover is going to be very effective with this build. Because when you shoot this, an enemy dives out of the way. And I know I've seen you guys mention this, and I've seen it from my own gameplay. When you shoot it, the enemy runs away and jumps out the way. We have got very, very quick cooldowns with this, so we can constantly spam this, which means we can shoot it, the enemy can jump out, doesn't matter, we just spread it all around, and eventually they just run back into the cloud. When you're in a mission, in a team, or playing solo, if you spread this around the map, you will destroy everything so quickly. And let me tell you something right now. This skill is the most amount of damage you can get in the game when you spam a couple of them in one little area, because the damage stacks. So you can absolutely destroy NPCs very quickly with this, as long as you kind of shoot it in the right places. Now, you're going to have to be cautious of where you shoot it, but I'm sure once you get better with the skill, you'll be a master at it. I am still learning myself because I don't use it that often, but I'm really enjoying using it right now. So there are quite a few things I want to talk about as well with regards to talents on a weapon. So whatever weapon you're holding, you get that bonus. So if you've got damage to targets out of cover or damage to armor, that applies to the skill, but only when you hold the gun. So with the capacitor, we can stack up the damage. You stack it up. Once you've stacked it up, if you swap to the chem launcher and you shoot the chem, you have to swap back to the gun to get the bonus from my testing. That's what I have found. So to get the capacitor increased skill damage, we need to swap back to the capacitor and then hold it. It can be quite frustrating, but it still works well. So any other buffs that are active, when you swap back to that gun, you still get the actual increase for the damage or things like that. But sometimes you can actually get a bonus. For example, like the chatterbox, I've spoken about this over a year ago. When you get the chatterbox and you get the buff in RPM, you can shoot your chem launcher quicker. The RPM goes up with the chem launcher, so you can shoot it faster. I don't really see the utility in this. I've never really used it, but that's just to give you guys an idea. So try different weapons and whatever talents or attributes, should I say, they've got on here, and the talents as well. Just give them a try with the chem launcher. Sometimes it crosses over. Let's go through the setup now. So we have got the yield phase for 3 pieces of skill gear that is the best. So that's going to be Empress International. Empress International is unbelievably good because we get skill health, skill damage, and skill efficiency, which is everything. Damage, duration, everything like that. Just remember that the chem launcher, the Oxidizer, does not go off of status effect. So we have got the 3-piece. Now I've got the mask, the knee pads, and the bag. The bag I've got is the battery pack named Empress International with perfectly calculated. There are other ways we can decrease our cooldowns from the chest piece talents, but they're not as efficient as this. This will consistently, whenever you get a kill while you're in cover, because you will be in cover using this, your skill haste will go up immensely and you'll just get your skill back or your chems back very, very quickly. So I recommend using this bag talent because the damage is more than enough. So we want to try and get our chems back as fast as possible because it's an expendable skill. Something to take note, I have used glass cannon simply because kinetic momentum doesn't work with this skill. Because it's an expendable skill, you'll only get 1/2 of the buff. So I don't recommend using that. There are other talents you can use. The one where you can get skill damage and weapon damage when in cover, that's fine. I have used that in my previous chem launcher video or oxidizer video. If you guys want to check that out, link will be in the description. And we have got some, so I think glass cannon is going to be the best. There is a safety net mechanic in the game that prevents you from getting one-shotted. And this has been confirmed by the devs. I did ask them. So this is just the best. You just need to get the most out of the most damage you can possibly get. And I definitely recommend using glass cannon. You will get used to it. Even if you don't use GC, if you use GC, you don't feel a difference because you get melted really quickly, especially in legendary missions. Now, this build works perfectly playing legendary missions, especially in a group. Playing solo, you're going to have to be very cautious because if shotgunners rush you, you shoot on the ground in front of you, you will kill yourself really fast. So just be careful with that. I have also got Wyvern for the extra skill damage because skill damage and skill haste is what we want to go for on the setup on every attribute. Now that's up to you on the skill haste part. Yes, we have got a bag, but I promise you stacking skill haste on everything is really worth it on all your attributes because we want to make sure we're not just situational on the actual backpack talent. It's going to help quite a bit, but it's not going to bring them back instantly every time. I never really run out of chems if I use them correctly. I'm still getting used to it. So in the gameplay, you guys might notice I might run out every now and again. That's probably just due to my faults and putting them in the wrong positions. So we have also got contractor's gloves. You don't have to use this. If you don't use this, what can I recommend using? Honestly, it really depends on you. Do you want Fenris for more weapon damage for your gun? You can go for whatever you want. More skill haste from one piece, from other skill utility pieces. It's completely up to you guys, like Hunter you, but I recommend going for this because of the armor damage, guys. Armor damage scales really well with the oxidizer. Then we have got this holster, Murakami. That is because of the skill duration. Now, skill duration doesn't come very easy, and skill duration is what makes the oxidizer last longer. So when you shoot it, it'll allow the oxidizing cloud to stick around longer, therefore dishing out a lot more damage over time. It's very, very useful. So that is why on every single modification, I have gone for skill duration. You can go for haste, but you can't go for damage. That's why I think as long as you put damage on every modification, on every attribute, you'll be good to go. So skill duration is what I have used there. You can go for haste. It's really up to you and how consistently you're going to be spamming this. Maybe if you struggle a bit with the haste, I can still get a lot more haste on this build. Just so you guys know, not only with another piece, a one-piece Hunter U, but with all the mods if I put skill haste. So that's something for you to determine on whether, your play style or what mission you're going to be playing in, if you're in a group or you're playing solo. So I have chosen to go for the technician specialization. The main reason being is because you get increased damage to skills and robotics, skill proxies, things like that. It goes really well with the oxidizer. Also, we get an extra skill tier. That's why I've got a red on the gloves. So I think technician is really, really good. And because we get the artificer hive. The artificer hive is really, really good with the oxidizer. You don't have to throw this out. Just keep it on your back and the stims will go towards the oxidizer, helping that skill out a lot. So definitely worth using it. You don't have to. You could use another skill damage skill, whatever you want. Now, there are many different pieces you can actually place on the setup. You can use the exotic holster, for example. If you don't want to use Murakami and you don't want to use the hive that I've got, this will be also quite good as long as you use a second damage skill as well. There are just many ways you can put it. You can use the exotic bag. Memento isn't really ideal for this. I wouldn't recommend that unless you're only going to be playing solo, but then I would change it up completely, really. So with the skills, as you guys can see, we've got the simple hive, artificer hive, very nice with obviously the oxidizer. I've gone for the capacitor weapon. Now this is going to increase my skill damage immensely, over 500,000 with a healer in the team, just under 700k, somewhere around there. It's crazy strong. This is nice. Make sure to swap to your gun to get the damage. It bugs out sometimes, but just test it for yourself. I recommend that so you get a feel for it yourself. We also can hit pretty hard with this gun because we get reds, basically weapon damage, for having more yellow. So it is definitely recommended by myself. I've tried many other guns. You can use, like I said, the chatterbox for the extra buff towards the chem. There are other talents that work kind of well with it. It depends if you want like weapon handling on it. If you can spec weapon handling, you can also shoot it a bit more efficiently, but I wouldn't go down that road. Like I said, damage 2 targets out of cover isn't going to be the best in this kind of situation, as I mentioned earlier, but damage to armor, definitely good. Shotguns are really good because they have both, but it's dependent on you. I think this is quite situational with the setup because, like I said, guys, the NPCs move away from cover a lot, so you're not going to be getting the buff as often. But it's really up to you what you want to utilize here. You can also use in sync. There are many different ways to do it, but I recommend trying this. Then the scalpel to get future perfection, which you can get an extra skill tier if you wanted to go for less, or if you wanted to get overcharge. This is really good with the chem launcher. It makes it really overpowered. Then I've gone for the card custom. I don't have to use this, just use a gun within sync, and because obviously I don't need that extra skill tier because I've already got 6. So as I mentioned before, Empress is a must-have. The 3-piece, the armor damage from contractors, the Wyvern for extra skill damage with the Murakami for skill duration for the cloud. Then we have got glass cannon and then extra cooldown with the backpack talent, which works really, really well. So let's go through each piece now. I've got skill haste and skill damage on every piece with a skill duration mod. Haste damage there. Once again, on the bag, on the gloves, I've gone for skill damage. And then the knee pads, damage and haste. Just make sure when you modify this, you go for ammo, I recommend, and then damage or whatever you want to go for there. It's really up to you. Stats, have a look, guys. We don't focus too much on crit chance. We can still hit quite hard with the gun as well. I think this build works absolutely insanely well. I think it's a lot of fun to use. And I think, don't forget about this. This is wrong because we're in the range. I really do believe this is one of the funnest builds to use. And it's very nice. If you compare it with a status effect build, like I mentioned earlier, the robot dogs and the mini tanks are your enemy. They're the problem. With this, it absolutely eats away at those robotic NPCs. But this works really well. So just have a look at the cooldown. So what I'll do is skill haste is enabled. I think I've got around about 80% without skill haste enabled. Let's see if it's actually come back down to correctly show it. Yeah, 86%. So if I'm in cover, watch how quickly I do actually get the skill back, guys. I'll just shoot 2. I don't even need to go more than that. And what I'll do is I will hold this out, get a couple stacks. You can see how quickly my skills come back. And then when you hold this, when you hold the weapon itself, you get that increase in damage. I'll show you. When you're not holding it, we are hitting 430 when you swap 474. So you can see there is quite a big difference. I think that was a bad example. Let's get it fresh again. So we need to make sure we're doing the damage to armor. So right there, 400, swap 438. So it's gone up. Obviously, it's not max stacked, but you need to hold the capacitor to actually get the damage. So you can see when they die, I get my chem back very, very quickly. Let's stack it up nicely here. Let's really go for it now. Swapping out, you guys will see the cooldowns coming back really fast. So that is why I use that bag talent. It is so good. I really enjoy how quickly we get our chems back. It helps so much when you're playing in a mission, because that's the problem with expendable skills, is that when you actually shoot your chem, you run out of chems, you kind of run out of your setup. Your build becomes kind of obsolete. So, but then you just keep shooting and you get your skills back and you do unbelievable amounts of damage. And your teammates will thank you for it, really. When I play in a team, it works great, especially when NPCs are stuck together. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. I will play some gameplay. Honestly, I would love to see some feedback from you guys. Let me know if you have tried this build, if you're going to try it. I really do recommend this. Now, I haven't been the biggest fan of the Oxidizer over the last few years, but these days I have been using this setup quite often, and it just works really well. It's a lot of fun to use. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace out, guys.
The federal shelter should be beneath your current position. Find a way down there, but proceed with caution.
What is that? Hostiles.
Enemy helicopter approaching.
Get yourself ready, Agent. Bound to be more of them. Circle around to the flank.
Here we go! Did that? Ah!
Serious trauma detected.
Contact here. No visual come. Holy shit! Enemy taking fire! Bad luck.